You press unlock, the doors unlock. You press lock, they lock. The thing I like about the key fob, though, is there's a little light around the Porsche crest at the base of the key fob, and every time you press a button, it kind of blinks to confirm that it got whatever button that you pressed, which is kind of a neat little look.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about an electric vehicle. It's called the Porsche Taycan.
This is the 2020 Porsche Taycan.
The Tesla killer, which is really interesting that I guess they waited for Tesla to do their thing, but at the end of the article they say that now the big boys are in the market.
In this car, though, it's a button, like an on-off computer button. That's how you start this thing. We're certainly in a brave new world compared to an old school key you turn at the start of the Le Mans car race.
And one of the big boys is Porsche.
So how do you do it? Well, it turns out if you have the key in your pocket, you walk up, stick your hand underneath the door handle, they pop right open, and then you can open the door right up. Take a closer look. You can see I walk up to the car, door handle's flat, stick my fingers underneath, and then it opens up and you can open the door in basically one motion. It's pretty cool. Now, when your door handles are up like this, that basically serves as an indication that your Taycan is unlocked. If you want to lock it, just walk up to the door handle, tap it, and then it pushes back down into the door. The car is locked and you can walk away.
So Porsche is doubling on production of its Tesla killer. Tesla killer Taycan on soaring demand. 279 shares, so a lot of people are excited about this. The Porsche Taycan is widely considered to be the mainstream luxury automobile market's most potent threat to the Tesla Model S.
That's because it's the first electric car to generate as much hype and excitement as Tesla, which has dominated the electric car market for years.
The specs for the vehicle look to be extremely impressive, not just from an electric vehicle standpoint, but from any type of street legal standpoint. It is said to accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds, and it'll have a top speed of over 155 miles per hour.
And right now you can get the Taycan in 4 versions. It starts with the 4S, which has 520 horsepower. Then there's the 4S with a battery upgrade and 560 horsepower. Then there's the Turbo with 670 horsepower. And then there's this, the king of the hill, the Taycan Turbo S with 750 horsepower. This car also has 775 pound-feet of torque, and it'll do 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds.
Its range will come in at 310 miles, and it will be chargeable up to 250 miles in just over 20 minutes at a Porsche high voltage supercharger.
Oh, it turns out this little black piece protruding next to the charge port is a sensor. You slide your hand underneath the sensor, and the charge port pops open and goes into the fender instead of just swinging open and looking ugly like a fuel door or the charge port in most cars. You want the charge port to close? Same process the other direction. Just slide your fingers back under the little black sensor and the charge port door closes right up.
Oh, and it also happens to look rather impressive. Let me show you this picture here.
Now it's time to get it out on the road and see how it drives. All right, driving the Taycan. I'm gonna start by just punching.
So that's a beautiful car. Looks like kind of the same style of Porsche, but very, very beautiful. I really like it. There has been an air of intrigue surrounding the Taycan since it was announced in late 2015, and it'll finally be going on sale at the end of the year, this year.
Oh, wow. I have to say, flooring it, after it gets going, it feels about like a really fast gas car, but that first burst, that's about the craziest flooring it I've ever. You're hanging on for dear life. Oh my God, it's so fast. Wow. Wow. Oh my God, that's crazy. I can't believe I've just experienced that.
As we get closer to that date, we're also getting our first look at potential demand, which seems to be far exceeding Porsche's expectations.
But maybe the more interesting item in terms of getting in the car and driving off is the gear lever, which is to the right of the steering wheel. You can see it's this very tiny little lever that you can use to move between reverse, neutral, and drive. You go up for reverse, down for drive. Neutral is in the middle, and then park is a button off to the side.
So it's not just me. A lot of people are excited about this car. BGR is reporting that demand is so strong that Porsche is actually doubling production to meet the demand, or to meet it. The article reveals that Porsche is going to manufacture 40,000 units per year, which is twice its initial plan of 20,000 vehicles. The article cites a report from Automobile Voice, which states Porsche has doubled the plant quantities for its first purely electric sports car, taken because of the foreseeable strong demand.
But when Porsche announced it was going into production, it was a mad rush to Porsche dealers to place orders.
Recall that just weeks ago, we wrote about how the Taycan was reportedly cannibalizing from Tesla in its initial set of reservations. More than half of the people that are signing up to pre-order the Porsche aren't already Porsche owners. In fact, the #1 brand owned by those who are pre-ordering the Porsche is Tesla.
Now, the other item you have in the center of this car, far more important than the cup holders in the storage area, is this center screen. This screen has some of your more basic, more frequently used vehicle commands. You can see at the top, you have your climate controls. You can adjust the temperature, the fan speed, the heated and cooled seats. Unfortunately, this screen is not just a simple little touch like Tesla and other automakers. You have to tap it pretty hard and kind of get feedback from the screen. It moves down as you press it, and that's how you know you've tapped something.
Porsche North America President and CEO Klaus Zellmer told ZNet at the time, more than half of the people that are signing up for the Taycan have not owned or do not own a Porsche. Typically, if we look at our source of business, people coming from other brands, it's Audi, BMW, or Mercedes. The #1 brand now is Tesla.
And you can use this screen to open up the rear trunk. You press the button and the rear trunk will pop open automatically. It's power operated. The cool thing here is you can also use this screen to close the rear trunk. You press this button on the screen and then the rear trunk will automatically close just like it opened, so you don't have to get out of the car to do that stuff.
That's pretty interesting to see that people that were curious about the Tesla for very good reasons obviously don't stop being curious. Here we have the same car but in yellow. We followed up on that report by noting that Porsche was one of several brands to nail down a 3-minute charge alongside BMW, a task that has still eluded Tesla.
One of the first things that I notice when I drive this car is the quality difference between Tesla and Porsche. You know, I have to say, one thing I was very surprised about was when Porsche came out with the pricing for this car. It was another thing, the internet lost its mind. How is it so expensive? You know, Tesla Model S is this much cheaper. First off, Porsche has never been cheaper than anything. I mean,
Porsche recently unveiled a charging station that can give electric vehicles enough power to drive about 62 miles on less than 3 minutes charge, putting it ahead of Tesla. Their prototype charger is said to have a capacity of 450 kilowatt, which is more than triple Tesla's superchargers.
And next up, another cool item on the back of this car. All Porsche models have light bars now. That's not particularly noteworthy. What's neat is right below that, the Porsche script is in what looks like a circuit. You can see all these little lines kind of going between each letter, and it looks sort of futuristic and special and high-tech, and I really like that they bothered to do that. It gives the car just a slightly more interesting look.
Vehicles that were tested at this power were brought to 80% capacity in 15 minutes, according to Tesla's website. It needs about 30 minutes for a similar charge.
Now, the last thing I want to discuss back here is this car's name, because it's caused quite a bit of controversy. I'm going to start with Taycan, and yes, that is how you say it, Taycan and not Taycan, which is odd because It looks like it would be pronounced Taycan, but Porsche assures me that it isn't. It's also strange because they have a car called the Macan, which isn't related to this. So you have Macan and Taycan, not Taycan, two separate Porsche models. I find that to be weird.
Look out, Elon Musk. The big boys appear to have officially made their way into the sandbox. Have a wonderful day.